to address today the concerns that a lot of people have about housing and the potential for another housing crisis with the affordability index at some of the worst levels we've seen. It's really hard to find an affordable house with interest rates having increased as dramatically as they have over the past year and a half, and with home prices near highs in many markets across the country. It is easy for people to jump to the conclusion that we have the underpinnings for the next housing crisis, that there's going to be this natural large move down in home prices. The problem with that is that a housing crisis starts with distress, with something that causes people to be desperate to sell. And that's not what we see when we look at the data. Inventory of homes for sale is well below pre-pandemic levels, and it's stayed there. And like just in a national survey, 25% less sellers, people listing their house for the first time in the June, early July period compared to last year. So people are not selling their houses. And the reasons are really because most people are sitting on low rate mortgages. So you have to remember a few things. One, probably 40% of all homes in the U.S. have no mortgage. And then of the ones that do have a mortgage, as we sit here today, a large number of those, by far a majority, have mortgages under 4%. So if they were to sell their house, then buy a new house, they would have to trade that low rate mortgage for a much higher rate mortgage. And what motivation do they have to do that? So yes, I can sell my house at a really high price, but where am I going to live? I have to then buy a new house and get a high rate mortgage, trade a 3% mortgage for an 8% mortgage. Why would people do that? And they're not. So that's why the natural churn rate, we're about 50% of the homes listed that we would need for just a natural churn rate. So that's kind of not providing any underpinnings actually for a housing crisis. There's very little chance that there's going to be an uptick in distress for these people that are sitting on 3%, 4% mortgages. And we're seeing that in the mortgage delinquency rates. So despite the fact that there are all kinds of things affecting consumer spending and higher gas prices, oil is up this summer, interest rates, credit card interest rates are up, inflation, obviously, when you go to the grocery store, you're spending a lot more than you were a few years ago. But you're going to make sure you make that mortgage payment at that low rate. And why sell your house and trade it for a higher mortgage rate? So that's what we're actually seeing. It causes us to feel pretty doubtful that there's an impending housing crisis. We're kind of in this period right now where home prices have this buoyancy underneath them for the foreseeable future.